அப்போ இந்த chat இருக்கட்டுமா?
இங்க என்ன பண்ணலாம் இப்போ?
No, just for viewing தான் நம்மளுக்கு பேக்கப் பார்க்குறது.
ஓகே, இது மியூட்ல
லைவ் போயிட்டு இருக்கு இப்போ. இதில் போயிட்டு இருக்கு.
ஓகே. So hello friends. I see. So we are live now. You can go ahead and ask your questions. Response. Maybe you should type something. Can you type something there?
Yeah, you can type there. Account sign in gap.
But here you can't write them.
Okay. Keyboard on.
And sign in பண்ணுங்க. And sign in. Hello. In the general எடுத்துக்கோங்க so that I know that they are listening. Can we go to the other screen? PC screen. Oh, how do you know they are hearing? Hello.
Audio. You want to know audio? Your audio. You want to know audio? Not listen.
It'll be nice at least to know once.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello. It'll be nice if you type maybe. Also. Type this. Say something. Can I type?
Yeah, you can type, sir. Little above, I think.
Someone has posted the question of Fourier.
Let's say it is posted.
Oh, you have sent in Google form. You have not received it. Have you received anything? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. We are opening the Google form.
Because you're gonna ask a question. I guess next that.
Yeah, compile it. Yeah, go ahead, Sahil. Maybe you can ask in, you can write in parts.
We are telling again. They're sending again. Shadow. Yeah, I posted.
Hmm. Okay. I'm not so sure about macroeconomic models because I don't teach macroeconomics. But I think there are some good books that you can read. Um, Generally, the standard models that are used are your auto-regressive models or vector models or vector co-integration and so on. So I want to know what do you mean by combination? Uh, do you mean multiplicative combination or some other combination that we don't get to that you didn't get to see in this course? Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if I know the answer to that question. But um, when you talk of combinations, I just wanted to know, are you referring to, so I don't know what you mean by two components combined together. Are you referring to some mathematical combination? Yeah, so you see, white noise or perhaps IID noise is going to be an integral part of every time series model, because a random signal by its very definition should have an unpredictable component. Now, the predictable portion can be modeled in many different ways. In this course, we have been looking at simple models for predictable portion. For a beginner, it may not be simple, but from a theory viewpoint, they are fairly simple. But there are other complicated models, or more complex models, I would say, for the predictable portion. It depends on the process. So you have nonlinear time series models where the predictable portion is a nonlinear function of the past, or even of the shock waves that you are looking at. Or you have what are known as arch and gauge models, which which cater to a different class of processes. So as they say, necessity is the mother of all inventions. The models have come forth because some class of processes demanded such models. Even heteroscedasticity, for example, was truly modeled only in early 80s or mid 80s. People were aware of it, perhaps, but the models came about only in about early 80s. So the way you study the time series literature, it will be useful, is to see it this way, that white noise is going to be an integral part of every time series model. How people model the predictable portion. It could be purely regressive, like in auto-regressive models. Again, you can have linear regression models, you can have non-linear regression models. Or it could be purely convolutive models, like in moving average models, where the series is assumed to be purely driven by the endogenous component, which is white noise, or a mix of both, like in ARIMA. Now, whether you assume the linear functionals or nonlinear functionals depends on the process, and accordingly, the models start to look simple or become complicated. So, I don't know so much of the models that are used in economics, but I know for sure that at least a class of economic processes rely on AR models, MA models, ARMA, and generally people talk of vector models in econometrics. So you may want to look at this book by Lutkepol. Maybe I can write that for you on the forum, or maybe I can write it on the journal. I'll write it down for you shortly. So this is called multiple time series analysis. Introduction to multiple time series analysis by Lutkepol, and it's a very widely used book in economics, in econometrics. There are other books too. There is, for example, analysis of financial time series by Say. So those are some of the. I'll do that. I'll write down the name for you very soon. So these are the two books. Then, yeah, those are the two books that come to my memory right now. Balaji, can we switch over to the writing part? So one is the introduction to multiple time series analysis. By Lutkepo. This is one book, and the other book is Analysis of Financial Time Series by Robert Say. Of course, if you want to generally look at other time series models, there is also this non-linear time series analysis. Big fan. What's his name? Non-linear. You can look up non-linear time series on your phone. Time series methods. I think. By fan. I'll give the full details for the third one. So these are some of the three books that will contain a lot of extensions, new models that you can look at and that people use in econometrics and other domains. Naturally, there are some very, very interesting models people have come up with. They do model a lot of processes. It's very interesting that there is always a class of processes that fall within the purview of a model. And then very soon people realize that this model has limitations. There exist other processes that do not fall within the purview. And then someone comes up with a new model and so on. But at the heart of every model is the same concept. There is a predictable component, there is an unpredictable component. And what makes one model different from the other is the assumptions that you make on the predictable one mainly, and also the unpredictable one. In our simple models, unpredictable ones are white noises. But in nonlinear time series analysis, for example, it's quite common for people to assume to be IIT.
The fan is on other book. It's not this one.
This one?
Schumann software.
This one is by nonlinear time series analysis by.
So there are two books.
You didn't get it. One by how to read this.
Click sir. இந்த பென்ல கிளிக் பண்ணல erase கிளிக் பண்ணிட்டு erase ஓகே மவுண்ட் பென்
By Holger. So there are of course a few other books, you can always look them up on the web. But these three books come to my mind. Oh, it's my pleasure, don't worry. That's only what YouTube.
Nonlinear time series theory, methods and applications with our experts. David Starr.
David. Okay. They'll send.
Two more others.
How to space phase reconstruction. I don't know what that means. Okay. Let that person ask. Okay, so any other question from you or other participants? You're able to see the list. One question was from you, there was another question from another participant, and so on. By the way, I do remember you, Sahil. Some participant. Go up. Um, hmm. Pranay. So, does Pranay Kumar have any question or Sahil? Oh, you're done. That means the course is keeping you happy and crystal clear. When will this course schedule next time? Two questions. I don't know about the next time. See, as far as the videos are concerned, they have been recorded. So the scheduling only depends on the availability of TAs. Generally, I am okay with conducting it every semester. We'll have to see. At the moment, I've not decided whether we want to have next run of this course in the coming session. Normally, I teach this course, semester course, mm, in July to November here at IIT. So at that time, usually I would prefer not to run this course online because our TAs will be busy helping out the uh, offline course. So maybe next Jan 2019, this course will be offered again. And to the other question, advanced part of it, I don't know. I would like to. I don't know when. First of all, I've not done any full advanced course here as a part of any semester. Usually, the way things work is that we conduct some short term course, at least, if not a full semester course, so that we have the material ready and then we can record the videos. It's tough to actually straight away go to an online course without testing it on the ground. It's not a great idea either. But let's hope and pray that I will get the opportunity to do that. Yes, tell me, Karthikeyan. Any other question? Would like to know, in fact, what is the background? What are you guys up to? In the sense, are you working or are you in academia? In what way do you find this course useful to you now or in future? Any further questions? Yes, not time.
Keyboard.
Hmm. Okay. Well, they say with the help of statistics you can do anything. You can. Question is whether you can make sense out of it is a question. So, if you before we answer that question, you'll have to have a clear understanding as to what we mean by average life, right? Uh, if you assume that every human is a representative of a large population, uh, then you have to be careful because you should understand first that when we estimate some quantity, like such as averages, whether it is life of humans or maybe average of some other signal, it could be temperature and so on, we first assume that there exists a true average. And secondly, when we collect data to estimate that average, we make sure that we collect data from the same population. Suppose I want to estimate average life of humans. The average life can vary across countries depending on the geographical conditions, meaning climatic conditions, the nutrition, the environmental conditions, and so on. So, if you span across the planet, the average life can vary from continent to continent. So, it may not be a great idea first to collect across the continents. You may want to restrict yourself to a continent. In fact, within a continent itself, you can have variability. Then you want to probably restrict yourself to some, let's say, Indian subcontinent, where the conditions are similar. If you take Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, including, of course, India. So, if you take Nepal, if you take all these neighboring countries, including Bhutan, maybe the average life is the same. If you assume that also can be debated. Then again, you have to go about looking at variability, maybe across. Within this, you can look at the variability, but if you start ignoring that variability, then you can collect data. Yes, there is mortality rate across these countries. You can collect that and then get the average, and then you can you can estimate the average. But you don't need time series analysis for that. You just need statistics. Plain statistics should do the job for you. In the difference between plain statistics and time series analysis is in time series, as the name says, we are trying to look at serial data with the idea of exploiting some correlation in that serial direction. But when it comes to average life of humans, you don't have to really look at the uh, this thing time series data. But of course, you can pose this as a time series problem, and you can ask how is the average changing with time. So you can look at the mortality rate. You can construct, for example, averages across maybe every decade. If you have data for that, I don't know how much data we have, but if we have data for let's say 200 years, then you will have at least 20 to 30 points, and you can see if there is a correlation between the averages. If the average is growing with time, or is there some oscillatory nature to it, then you can bring in time series analysis to see how the average life of humans is changing with time. So your time series will be then the average itself that you construct, maybe over decade or over 5-year period and so on. So yes, the answer is yes, but you have to pose the question more clearly first, and then you can bring in the techniques. Good, good question, Ajit. So I think that's okay. In the sense, it's nice to see that you are thinking along these directions. Any statistical analysis is meaningless without bringing in the domain knowledge, or without bringing in the context. Once you put it in the context, then you have kind of poured life into the statistical analysis. Otherwise, it's a very dry topic. So I just wanted to ask you folks one question, since we have time. Would it be great if you all of you are allowed to come on a single day, come and visit, talk to the instructor on campus, right? Suppose we have, let us say, a meeting of the participants where we spend an hour or two that you can ask questions, not live electronically but live in person. Would it be a very useful thing in case you can travel? Those who can travel. But of course, I mean, the expenses are borne by the participant to travel. But at least, we can schedule perhaps such a meeting. We can make arrangements. I can make myself available. Yeah, true. I think if you want to make the best use of your visit to the campus, then certainly it will be nice to speak to at least two instructors of yours. Uh, but I would say that it's perhaps also a good idea if you have not visited the IITM campus. It will be probably also inspiring, and maybe you can take that opportunity to visit one or two research labs. If you are interested in visiting research labs and so on. And maybe if you are having ideas of doing a PhD or a master's, then you can know more. Particularly if you want to do a PhD, it will be very useful. The control is there. Mhm. So, as a general question, how are you finding the assignments? Keep on. No, some. only 5 watching. Hmm?
3 watching.
3. Strong. You're also watching.
One watching. Four.
Okay, folks. So if there are no other questions, or if you have questions that you want to ask later on, you can always post them on the forum or send us a message in private. We'll be certainly happy to answer them. At the moment, I don't see much questions coming. But as I said, yeah, please feel free. Okay, folks. If there are no other questions, please feel free to write to us either on the forum or directly. And yeah, I wish a happy journey to this course. And maybe we can have probably another session if you like, a short session before your exam. And if you have any difficulties, particular difficulties, do let us know. We'll try and do everything that will ease that difficulty for you. All right then. If new people have signed in, go ahead. You can take questions. I just typed that, seeing that there are not many signing in. So I see that a few probably have signed in.